I have a desk full of robots that are, it's like just out of frame. So before we get into all of this, I do want to point out this thing. This is very cool. This is the big gift that Diana got me for Christmas. This is a commission that she got from an artist. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I will include her name, website, and all that down in the description. But yeah, this is a commission she did or got for me from this artist from my favorite TV show ever. And yes, that includes Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Owl House. That is She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. And this is amazing. And this is actually made out of cut and layered cardstock, which if you get in real close, you might be able to see that it's layered. It's not, like, this isn't drawn. This isn't something that somebody like colored in. This is just like cut paper that's like layered on top of other pieces of cut paper, and it's all exact and precise and just so cool. And I love the style, and it's super neat. And it's in a frame that's very heavy, so I'm afraid to hang it on our walls. But that's okay. Yeah, this is very cool. That's enough of that. We're here for robots, so let's talk about robots. As a quick reminder for anyone who's either forgotten or is not familiar with the top 10 videos I do, which is, maybe a dozen people who watch these, this is not necessarily my 10 favorite figures that came out this year. This is my 10 favorite figures that I got this year. And it specifically is figures that were new to me. So if it's a figure that I had in some form or another in the past, it's not eligible for this list. For example, the APC Toys version of Transformers Prime, Optimus Prime, that I just got this year. Love that figure, but it is not my first time with that mold, not even my first time with the APC version of the mold, so it doesn't count. So yeah, this is all stuff that was new to me as a toy this year. I'm going to start with the honorable mentions, because I just don't really feel like splitting up the top 10, so starting with the honorable mentions, these are the ones that I liked, but just they didn't quite crack the top 10. First honorable mention, I'm gonna butcher the name. I am sorry, but I'm an English speaker. That's what I do to other languages. This is the Chaikwang Mao Toy Steelhead Commander. I'm sure I got that wrong, but yeah, Steelhead Commander, their Nemesis Colors version of a Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime. It's like an SD kind of aesthetic, but like really cool figure, really surprisingly clever and fun transformation, very poseable. This is just very cool. Really like this guy. I should have prefaced this also by saying that some of my choices, both for what's a honorable mention rather than being the top 10 proper, and what's in the top 10 and where it places in the top 10, is probably going to raise a few eyebrows, but what can I say? I likes what I likes. And I like this figure a lot. I said as much in the video, but it just didn't crack into the top 10 for me, and that is Timeline's Optimus Prime, specifically the Hearts of Steel version, because now we're going to have other Timelines Optimus Primes, obviously. But yeah, this is a very cool figure. If this was released as a Nemesis, it would probably be in the top 10. But yeah, it's an Optimus, still very cool, still really like this thing. Very interesting transformation, looks awesome, good posability and all that. It's just, I kind of wish it was a Nemesis, but maybe someday. Maybe we'll get a knockoff in Nemesis colors like we always do. We'll see. But still, core figure, regardless of all that, still excellent. Third honorable mention is actually kind of a surprise to me that it made honorable mention, considering my immense amounts of regard for the original figure, the original toy rather, not figure. But what can I say? It was just eclipsed by so much else this year, and that is Missing Link Bumblebee. I do really like this. G1 Bumblebee, if you're not familiar, that was my very first toy. My very first Transformers toy. In fact, hang on a second. This right here, this figure I am holding in my hand right now is the G1 Bumblebee that started my Transformers obsession. I've had this for over 40 years now. Jeez. This is the one that got me into transforming robots. This is the very first Transformer that I'm holding in my hand. This is the very first Transformers toy I ever owned, and I still own it after all these years. So of course, I cared about getting Missing Link Bumblebee. And it is a very cool figure. I really like a lot of the stuff it did. And it's really nice to have these two side by side. I love it. But just didn't quite make the cut compared to everything else. Honorable mention number 4. I'm not entirely sure if it would have made a difference to me if I had managed to find this figure in stores or online, like, easily. But I definitely feel like the nonsense that I and virtually everyone else had to go through to try and get this figure, despite it being an official release, definitely colored my perception a bit. And I do feel like there's a good chance this figure would be higher on this list if it wasn't such a freaking nightmare, and if I was able to just get it for the $20 it normally sells for, because then I'd probably have a much higher opinion of it rather than, you know, having to get it as a gift that was overpaid for. But I am, if you haven't figured it out already, talking about Earthspark Deluxe Soundwave. This is a really good figure, bell bottoms notwithstanding. Really nice posability, really cool transformation. Alt mode is really cool, fits for Soundwave. I really like this thing. It's just, it should not have been such a nightmare for people to find this thing, and so many people still haven't found it. I've yet to actually see this figure in stores at all. I only have this because Diana bought it for me as, I think, like a birthday gift or something like that. But yeah, this thing is impossible to find. And I do not like that, because it is a really good figure, but the fact that it's so hard to find and the fact that you're probably going to end up paying way more than the $20 asking price, it just doesn't stack up to the greater price that a lot of people are going to pay for it. It is extremely good, but it's extremely good within the context of being a $20 figure you can find and buy in a store without having to pull your hair out. And final honorable mention goes to a figure I mean, some of these I haven't made videos on, which is, that's my fault. I dropped the ball. I try to do videos on all the figures going into the new year, but I just had a really rough patch of not making videos for a good long time. But anyway, don't have a video on this yet, but rest assured it is really good. And final honorable mention is Metal Cardbot Sky Gallop. This is a really neat figure. Pretty nicely posable. Transformation is really interesting, and when you incorporate the card accessory that this figure comes with, you'll see where the gallop comes in. But also, it's kind of my weakness. That's centaur robots, and yeah, this guy turns into a centaur. It's just, I mean, not turns into is kind of generous, because it's literally just the entire back half of the horse is the card accessory, and he's just a regular bipedal robot without it. But, you know, you clip it on there, and you got this really cool centaur robot with a kind of a giant bow. I don't know why they always give centaur robots bows, but it works, and I think this is really cool. I really like this figure. There's actually a different Metal Cardbot figure that is a plane that turns into a centaur robot that I have ordered currently, but hasn't arrived yet. I'm sure that would be in my top 10 if it arrived this year, but it's probably not going to show up until January, because I'm recording this on December 30th, and it's still in Korea, so yeah, it's not getting here by tomorrow. But I do have a weakness for centaur robots, just like I have a weakness for big shoulder pads, so of course I really like this thing, but it is really cool. And now we get into the top 10 proper, and boy, some of these are going to be weird for people. But it's my list, you know? Okay, so number 10 is actually Studio Series 86 Megatron. I feel like there are going to be people who say that this shouldn't be on my list at all, and then people who are going to say that this should be much closer to the top spot. But I just liked everything else that I have in front of it more. But this is a really good toy. I am not interested in talking about the alt mode in terms of all that baggage that everyone seems to really love piling on this toy. I think the alt mode as this is, taking it for what it is, not what we want it to be or whatever. I think this is really cool. I think the alt mode works. It's a little bit awkward, but not bad. Less awkward than other tank figures we've gotten in the past, one of which we'll actually be seeing later on. And the transformation is really fun and interesting, and the robot mode looks great. I don't have a problem with the shoulders being a little narrow, but there are upgrade kits for that if you really have a problem with it. The only thing that really bugs me about the robot mode is I wish the fusion cannon, like I just wish this bit could like slide forward a bit because it sticks out so far. Whatever, it's still an incredibly cool figure. Comes with a lot of accessories that I do not care about. I've got them all pegged onto his back currently, but this is neat. This is a very, very cool Megatron. Number 9 is Megatron again. This is actually the APC Toys version of Transformers Prime Megatron. This is Dark Master, I think they call him, and I don't remember the exact name or number that they assigned to this particular one. This is the battle damaged version. It's basically just like a darker gunmetal-y color with like some scuffs and scratched kind of a paint job on it, weathering effect, and it looks so cool. I've never experienced a Transformers Prime Megatron figure before. This is my first. It's a little fiddly. I actually got kind of annoyed at it for a little while because there's this back panel that I had a really hard time getting to line up in vehicle mode, but it turns out it's on a slider that I didn't realize, and when I account for the slider, it's perfect. And yeah, this is just an incredibly gorgeous looking figure. He comes with the, Darksaber, I think it's called, and it looks really cool. He's got his wrist-mounted blades that you can pop on and off. The fusion cannon supposedly lights up. I don't have batteries for it. But like the painting on this thing is great. I always thought this depiction of Megatron in the Transformers fiction that I've ingested in one form or another, whether it's comics, movies, TV shows, whatever, I always thought this Megatron is one of the most, if not the most intimidating version of the character I've ever seen. Like, Transformers Prime Megatron is scary. He will murder you. And I really like that. I think this is just super cool. It's just such a neat figure of a really cool depiction of the character. Number 8. The way this is going to be presented is not entirely right just because of things, but it is Fans Hobbies Obsidian Blade, which is their version of it's a black repaint of Energon Wingsaber, basically. And this thing is obviously not just that figure. It's attached to their commander, Energy Commander figure, the core figure. So, it's not representing the figure as a whole. And I do admit, as a core figure, Obsidian Blade isn't necessarily better than the figures that came before it. I do think it's cool though, like the fact that the head turns, even though it still does the split, like the two different halves that kind of come together. Like, that's really cool. But I just really like how much it enhances the Energy Commander figure. And I really like Energy Commander, just specifically the core figure. I don't care that much for the drones that become like the limbs. I went over it in the video for this thing, but like, yeah, Obsidian Blade with this guy is fantastic, and I just really love the sets, and I'm so glad I managed to get Obsidian Blade. He is a very cool figure in his own right, but even like just so much cooler if you can slap him together with Energy Commander. Though it occurs to me that guy might have actually been called Obsidian Commander. Number 7, I'm hoping I don't get my numbers mixed up as I'm saying it because the spreadsheet I'm using, the numbering's off by 1, so yeah. But number 7, another figure I have not made a video on. I don't think I've even talked about, actually, but I do like it a lot. It is Bingo Toys Super Soldier Jezzy. The name is not the thing I like about it a lot, but the figure is super cool. Like, this aesthetic is great. This basically looks like an MDLX Jazz that... why am I drawing a blank on the company? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but basically This looks like a non-transforming stylized Jazz, the MDLX Jazz figure that does look really cool, but I'm not getting it because not important. Point is, this looks really cool, but it does actually transform. The vehicle sure has 4 wheels, but it transforms, which is really cool. There's actually a surprising amount of posability on this figure, and despite appearances, the transformation really isn't that complicated. It's a little touch and go in a few places if you're not doing things just right, but it's not that bad to course correct as you're doing it. And yeah, this is just a very cool figure. I low-key really like Jazz and have liked Jazz for a very long time, and having a very stylized depiction of him like this is just really cool. All right, number 6. This is something I wanted to make a video on this year, and I never got the energy for it. I've been dealing with a lot of stuff. I'll leave it at that. But I really wanted to talk about this figure before. I never did, but I can talk about it now. At number, what are we on, 6? Number 6, it is Lego Soundwave. This is my first and probably only Lego Transformer. I don't care about Prime. Maybe if they do a Nemesis Prime, I would get it, but that's a maybe. Like, I don't care about Prime. I don't care about Bumblebee. We'll see what else they do. But this is very cool. He's a much more convincing tape deck than the one we got most recently. What was it? Was it the Legacy? I know the Studio Series is coming out. Supposedly it's arriving in my pile of loot soon, but I haven't gotten it yet. But yeah, this guy, I am not a Lego person. I don't do Legos, really. I appreciate them, but I'm just not a big Lego person. But like, this build was so fun. I did it with Diana. We both like putting Lego sets together, and I got this as both like a gift for me to do the Soundwave thing, but also as a gift for us because we could have fun putting it together. And yeah, the build for this was so much fun. And the engineering on this thing is brilliant. I don't know how else to put it. Like, the way this thing transforms, yes, he is missing some not missing. He doesn't have some articulation, most likely due to, figure stability and stuff like that, which is fine. I understand that. This is more of a display piece than a play piece. But the engineering on this thing, specifically with regards to the transformation, is ingenious. Like, the way the shins transform, you can't even really see it, and I'm not going to do the transformation right now, but like, this whole thing is on like multiple hinges, so this entire shin plate just automorph sucks into his leg when you bend it forward for the transformation. He's got workable ankle tilts. He's got a chest thing that the chest door pops open, but it actually has like a tactile click to it. It's fantastic. And he has the sound brick, and you trigger the sounds by pushing a little play button. And let me see if I get him closer so you can hear some of the sounds. I love this thing. It's, in addition to it just looking cool and legitimately being fun and interesting to transform back and forth, and it actually holds together pretty well compared to what I've been seeing from like the Optimus Prime and stuff when you're transforming it. Like, the arms are actually, they clip into the side, so when you thunk these in place, they're not coming out until you want them to. Like, you can still manipulate the arms without things popping out. But yeah, fun to transform, fun to just look at. Every now and then I just walk up to it and push the little play button just to hear the sounds, which is fun. And again, super fun build. So yeah, this definitely awesome. It is expensive, no getting around that, but for me it was worth it. Okay, so now is when we're getting into the really portion of the list. Not for the whole list, but there are a couple coming up, including this one, where a lot of people are probably going to be like, are you serious? And I assure you I am, and I will explain why. Number 5, yes, my number 5 favorite toy that I got in 2025 is Age of the Primes Air Raid. Now, okay, I understand that the aerial bots as a combiner for Age of the Primes is mostly viewed as fine. I know there are people who like them. I think Superion looks pretty cool, but like, I don't actually care about getting the combiner. I only wanted Air Raid. I got Air Raid, and yeah, he's not super complex. He's not necessarily clever. Technically speaking, I have him transformed wrong because the cockpit is actually supposed to be sitting up here. I just like having it tucked back more because it's not like it sticks out much further than the wings would anyway. But like, Air Raid was the aerial bot that I carried around with me the most as a kid. I did have other aerial bots. I don't remember if I had the entire team or not. I think I did. I definitely had Superion, definitely had Firefly, and of course, I definitely had Air Raid. I don't know, like, just the black and white and red for Air Raid always appealed to me, and he was the figure that the G1 figure that I would carry around a lot as a kid, and so when I saw this, I really wanted him. And I got him when I was visiting my parents. My dad actually, he's so patient. My dad, and this is this year, by the way, I'm 44. My dad took me out to a bunch of different stores to go toy hunting. And I didn't find a lot of the stuff I was looking for. I was actually looking for that Energon Deluxe Soundwave that I could never find in stores. But I did find Age of the Primes Air Raid, and he made me really happy. He's just a little guy who turns into a jet. And it's very nostalgic and, I guess, meaningful for me in that regard. I'm positive he's not going to have that same appeal to most of the people out there who do Transformers stuff, let alone the people watching this video. But for me, I love this guy. He is just what I wanted him to be, and that makes me super happy. And I got the Repro label set for him, so he looks even more like his G1 toy, and it makes him look a little bit less plain, and I just love him. Number 4 is yet another figure that I really wanted to make a video on this year and just never got around to. But this one is a doozy. That is Metal Cardbot Blast Train. For anyone who's not familiar with this figure, one, I'm sorry, but I'm glad to introduce this wonder to your lives. And 2, you should get him if you can find him anyway. I mean, the problem is importing from Korea is kind of a nightmare right now because of the current administration being just the worst. But I don't know if I could say it's worth the almost $200 it would cost to buy this guy right now outside of, Korea, or at least in the US. I can't say what it's like for countries that aren't the US. But this is still just a fantastic figure. It is the locomotive section is the core, and each arm and each leg from like the knee down makes a train car. So you've got this really cool armored up guy, but then you can take the bits off and the core is its own robot that's got more of like a conductor look to it. And then of course you can turn it all into one big train that's like, got the locomotive and then 4 cars behind it. The claws, unfortunately, do not store anywhere. They're part of the card accessory, so they just have to sit off to the side in a brick if you're not using them. But, like, look at this guy. He's so cool. Very posable. The only complaint I really have with this guy in terms of anything, really, is the articulation on the legs in the fully armored up mode is a little bit less than ideal. Specifically, they put the swivels below the knees, which I hate when they do that, and the thighs don't lock in as well as I'd like when they like slide up and compact for the torso mode, so like those have a tendency to pop out of place slightly when I'm trying to pose the figure. But like, just look at this thing. It is incredible, and it's a metal cardbot figure, so it's huge and sturdy and just gorgeous. And yeah, I really, really like this thing. Hopefully at some point I will make a video on it. My goodness, do I hate the fact that importing these things has become so cost prohibitive. Okay, number 3, and the final, I think at least, WTF entry on the list. Which really, I suppose, there only being what I would consider 2 isn't that bad for me. But last one, and it is the tank I referenced earlier when I was talking about Studio Series 86 Megatron, and I am not kidding. Number 3, again, I'm not kidding. Number 3, no joke, is Legacy Quake. I thought this guy looked interesting when he first came out, but I just never got him. And by the time I was like, you know what, I think I want to get Legacy Quake, he just wasn't available for sale anymore. So I ended up getting him in like a lot. It was like a handful of figures that someone was selling on eBay that I actually wanted a couple of them, including Quake here, and got it for a really, really good price. Quake has been just a shocking hit with me. He is compromised. He is weird. He's just a like retooled and re-engineered slightly version of Legacy Skullgrin, but like to great effect. And he turns into this really dumpy and sad-looking box with what kind of wants to look like a tank turret on top. Like, it's trying. I can't say it's trying hard, but it's doing its best to look like a tank. It's not great, but it's incredible. And I feel like that makes perfect sense to the people who have and love this figure. There's just something about Legacy Quake that is so appealing to me. The way he transforms is weird and interesting. He doesn't necessarily come together as well as you'd want him to, but he's trying. He's doing his best with what he's got to work with. He comes with 2 planks of plastic that they're calling Target Masters. He's got this indescribable appeal to me with like the colors and the sort of no-nonsense, I'm just a guy with boxy shins aesthetic he's got going on. And I unironically, without exaggeration, love this figure. This was probably the biggest surprise for me this year in a figure I got. I was interested in him, but I was not expecting to absolutely adore him like I do. So that is my number 3, Legacy Quake. No joke. If you haven't experienced this figure for yourself, and if you could find him for cheap, because you probably can, I would absolutely recommend it because he's so weird and compromised, but still amazing. Okay, quick aside, before I get to the top 2, I do want to say I mentioned Legacy Quake is my biggest surprise from 2025. I feel like I should do a new thing this year. It's just a quick thing. It's not going to be like a huge deal, but I am going to also bring up my biggest surprise, Derogatory, for 2025. Honestly, I don't know what the response to this has been since it came out this year, but for me, at least, the biggest disappointment's probably the wrong way to put it, but the biggest, like, I was expecting to really be into this, and I'm kind of about it figure for 2025 is, if you can believe it, Studio Series 86 Devastator. He looks great. I love the way the combined mode looks. He looks great. Posability's there. The engineering between the different figures is actually really interesting, and like the way the combiner comes together is clever. He's fun to transform. I'm just not excited by him, really. I was leading up to finally putting him together, but once I finally put him together, it was like, is that it? This sounds contradictory and weird, but like, I've recently reacquired Unite Warriors Devastator because everyone was selling their Combiner Wars and Unite Warriors Devastators because the Studio Series is coming out. I recently reacquired Unite Warriors Devastator, got the DNA upgrade kits, and I just think this is better. For me, at least. I feel like you could argue that objectively this is better. I can't say you're wrong, but for me, I just like this so much more. It feels awkward and weird and wrong in a lot of ways, but like all of that stuff makes this charming and makes it feel like it's really got a personality, like all the individual bots, the combined mode, all of that. This I'm not trying to say the people who designed this didn't put their hearts into it. I'm positive they did. And I'm sure they're incredibly proud of what they did, and they should be. But there's just, I don't know, there's a certain amount of playfulness and personality and like imperfection almost that Studio Series 86 Devastator seems to be lacking, at least in the overall combined mode, that just kind of makes me feel lukewarm about it. So with that out of the way, we can finally talk about number 2. And number 2 is, well, it's Devastator again. But this is, oh, heavy. He's not as big as Unite Warriors, but he is heavy. This is, there we go, Mecha Invasion Giant Legion. This was just such a fun set to put together. All the figures came in 2-packs. They were under $100 per pack, so like this entire combiner costs like as much as you could find TFC Hercules for now, possibly cheaper, depending. Hercules price fluctuations are weird, but point is, for what you pay, you get a lot of robot, and I really, really like that they went in different directions with how this comes together. How you've got Scavenger and Bone Crusher becoming the legs, and Mixmaster and Scavenger becoming the arms. I wish, and I said this in the video for this, I really wish that they made Long Haul the upper torso and Hook the lower body to really drive home that like mixing up the placements. But I will say the way that that Hook and Long Haul come together is very unique. I like that Hook actually splits down the middle and like goes on either side rather than like splitting. Like Hook typically does this and then you have the upper body, whereas here you've got like the cab and it kind of goes like this. That's cool, but I do wish that they had done the swap with them. But yeah, like this is just a very cool set. It's all inclusive, like it's all one thing, all in one, like Ocular Max combiners basically, with the exception of the weapons, but I don't think that counts. The fists are in the figures. The feet are made up of the legs of the figures, and it's really interestingly made. The engineering is clever and cool. This is just a genuinely fun set to mess with. I really enjoy the individual figures. I don't feel like it's controversial to say that this is way more my jam than Studio Series 86 Devastator. Now, for number 1, I do feel like this is both me doing the obvious thing, but this is coming from places of sincerity, so, you know, I'm not doing it just to, like, do what everyone else is doing or anything like that. But there's also the caveat of this figure definitely had some problems that really should not have been a problem. And it's great that Hasbro course corrected, but it shouldn't have been what it was in the first place. And I acknowledge that. And I just got lucky in that mine did not arrive broken, and I knew what to do to fix it before it broke itself. My number 1 is the obvious and predictable, but still no less earned, HasLab Omega Prime. His hand is like this because I have him holding his ladder on the display. I just obviously can't do that right now. HasLab Omega Prime is utterly amazing. I have such fondness for the original RID version of Omega Prime. I was working at Toys R Us on overnight shifts when it came out, and I bought Prime and Magnus it was the shipment came in and I bought one of each before they even went out on the shelves. It was the perk of doing the overnights, but yeah, it was an amazing set, and I love the original set so much, even with its very obvious problems and compromises. This set, I feel like, fixes virtually all of that, and it does do some things that compromise other things, like the massive thighs on Prime look amazing for Omega Prime, and they make, and also the powered up mode, but they make the core Prime look really thick with 2 C's. Magnus is RID Magnus, so he's a bit compromised too, but like they did a lot with that Magnus. I mean, I made a whole video just talking about how much I really liked what they did with Ultra Magnus on his own. This is such a cool set, and I'm glad I got it. I really, really wish that they didn't mess up so badly with the production and have that whole debacle with like Primes showing up with their torsos cracked, or Prime's torsos cracking after transformation. A couple of people got Ultra Magnuses that were yellowed out of the box. I'm fortunate in that I didn't have to deal with any of that. Or rather, it didn't have the yellowing and I was able to fix my Prime. But I don't know, like, even with all of that stuff, which I admit is a problem and kind of unacceptable for a made-to-order HasLab, I love this thing so much. Both for the nostalgia and the fact that it's just an incredibly cool set. They turned Ultra Magnus's weird gun into a robot. HasLab Omega Prime, incredible. And I feel like it'd be so much less of a qualifier to put him on here if you didn't have all that nonsense happening before. But I still think this is great. And I am just so glad I got him. Glad they made him. I love this. And I'm rambling, so I'm going to stop. And that is my top 10 plus 5 honorable mentions for 2025. I am, this time, absolutely confident that there is nothing else that's going to work its way into this list or would have worked its way into this list, because I don't have anything else that could possibly get here before 2026 kicks off. So we're good in that regard. That's all I've got. I'm kind of out of words at this point, so thank you all for watching. Of course, feel free to chime in down below. Let me know what your favorite acquisitions of 2025 are, even if they're not Transformers. You know, it could be video games, could be non-transforming toys, could be pop vinyls for all I care. Everyone loves to make fun of pop vinyls, but like, it's a valid thing that people collect. It's not to my taste, but it's fine. But whatever it is, feel free to let me know. And if you have a problem with anyone's list, don't be jerks about it, please. I don't think I need to say that to you all. You all seem pretty good with that kind of thing, but, you know, I just want to make it clear, since I have gotten a couple comments in the last couple of months, you know, being a jerk, especially if it's for no reason, is not welcome here. So, you know, just be nice. You know, you don't have to agree with people, but just don't be a jerk. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I'm sorry for all the rambling. I will see you in the next video, whatever that ends up being. And I do plan to record more. I can't say for sure what the scheduling is going to be, but I think I'm kind of over my funk currently. We'll see what happens.